with Jeff Sneider.
Welcome to What's the Deal with Jeff Sneider. It's Sundance edition. We're going to be taking a look at 14 movies, my top 14 movies that I want to see. This isn't the hot sales title list. This is like if I could only have 14 ticket requests. These are the 14 movies that I would go for. And why 14? It's because last year when I was at Sundance, I only managed to see 14 movies. You know, I gotta work, folks. It's not all about the movies. So we'll kick it off with Cold in July. This movie with Michael C. Hall. A guy breaks into his house. Michael C. Hall shoots him, and now he's got to contend with the guy's dad coming after him. Sounds pretty interesting. Jim Mickle is a good director. Number 13 is Lowdown, starring John Hawkes as a sort of jazz musician with an addiction problem, and Elle Fanning is supposed to be fantastic as his daughter. John Hawkes wowed me in the sessions a couple years back. Number 12 is Whiplash, the opening night film with Miles Teller as a young drummer, and J.K. Simmons as his tough instructor. Number 11 is The Skeleton Twins, which finds Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig playing kind of twins who have both thought about committing suicide. They're kind of suicidal twins. I don't really know. But I'm looking forward to going with it. I think it could be a big kind of dramatic breakout for Bill Hader, who's so fantastic on SNL for years. But I'm sure he's capable of so much more, just like as we saw with Will Forte in Nebraska this year. Number 10 is A Most Wanted Man, Anton Corbijn's film. He's a great director. I loved Control. I really like The American as well. This has a great cast. It's a sort of spy movie based on a John le Carre novel. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Rachel McAdams. Number 9 is They Came Together. I'm psyched for this. It's like a sort of spoof on romantic comedies done by David Wayne and Michael Showalter. And I think it's said to harken back to their Wet Hot American Summer days. Hopefully there'll be a P&I screening for this while I'm there, because I don't think it screens until the end of the festival. And I'm leaving on Wednesday. What gives, Sundance? Number 8, The Voices. Stars Ryan Reynolds as this guy who's hearing voices. He basically talks to his dog and his cat. He takes medication. It kind of makes him see things a little bit differently. It should be strange. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm rooting for producers Adi Shankar and Spencer Silma on that one. Number 7, The Young Ones. I spoke to Jake Paltrow last night. I'm really excited about this movie. It's a sort of Western-flavored sci-fi movie, if you will, starring Michael Shannon and Nicholas Hoult, as well as Elle Fanning again and Cody Smith-McPhee. That should be pretty interesting. I've heard pretty good buzz on it. Number 6 is Whitey. I grew up in Boston, okay? Whitey Bulger was like the guy who was whispered on all the street corners. You know, Joe Berlinger did this documentary. He's behind the Paradise Lost movies. I'm super excited to see, how he sort of frames Whitey's trial and his whole criminal history back in Beantown. Speaking of guys I grew up with, number 5 is Life Itself, the Roger Ebert documentary. Ebert meant so much to me as a sort of, teenager who was in love with movies. I looked to him, to help form my opinions, and I think this one could truly be great. Number 4 is The Guest from Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard. Those are the guys behind You're Next. It's a pretty cool thriller starring Dan Stevens and Maika Monroe, or however you pronounce her name. I'm never quite sure. Forgive me if that's incorrect. It's not necessarily a home invasion type of movie, but it's one of those you really want to be careful who you let into your house type of movies. Number 3, Killers. From the Moe brothers. Timo did the Safe Haven installment in VHS 2, which was one of the best things I saw all last year. It's about kind of serial killers who try and one-up each other. They're posting their crimes online and stuff, and then they eventually, there has to be a showdown. That's going to be a midnight movie, and I will be there. Sleep be damned. Number 2 is The Trip to Italy. I love The Trip with Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon. It was hilarious. Me and Justin Kroll of Variety always used to go back and forth. She was only 15 years old. With our horrible Michael Caine impressions, we'll leave those to Steve Coogan, but I'll definitely be there for the sequel. And number 1, speaking of sequels, The Raid 2. Not going to miss this for the world. I don't care what news breaks. On Tuesday night at the Eccles, I will be there. So should you. Jeff Wells, I can't believe you're not going to see this movie. I can't believe you didn't love the original. Gareth Evans, huge fan. I'm psyched to see what he has cooked up with. It's 2.5 hours long. I'd sit for 4 hours. Guys, those are my 14 movies to see at Sundance. Don't miss them, and if you do, tell me, what you ended up seeing in their place. Hit me up with tips, sales stuff, parties. I'm wide open for business, gang. Jeff@TheWrap.com. Thanks for watching What's the Deal with Jeff Sneider and reading TheWrap.com. What's the deal with Jeff Sneider?